I spent the last 6 years of my life learning everything that I could about trading, and here's the advice that I wish somebody told me before I started trading. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is accept the time that it's going to take. You didn't start an agency, you didn't start an e-com brand. No, you started trading. Trading is arguably one of the, if not the business that takes the longest to become profitable. There is a statistic, and that is for any business, that it takes on average 3 years for a business to become profitable. That means that on average, a business has been in business for 3 years before they see any type of profit. Now, when we talk about traders, the majority of traders actually quit before they even hit the 3 year mark, which means they haven't even given it the average time that it takes. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take you 3 years. No, it could take you a year, it could take you 6 years, who knows? But if there's one thing that's for sure, you are never going to find out if you're not even willing to give it the average time that it takes, which is 3 years. And you could even argue that whatever business you decide to pursue after trading, you will never find success with. Now, the reason for that is because it's not just trading where that 3 year statistic applies. No, it's any business. And if you can't give trading 3 years, what makes you think that you can give your next business 3 years before you quit? So people simply have the wrong approach when it comes to how long is this actually going to take, because it is going to take a long time. Now, the thing that I always think about is, let's say I decided to pursue a uni degree. Well, then it's definitely going to take me at least 3 years in my country to get a bachelor's degree. And so how do I expect to get a full-time job in trading in less than 3 years when a uni degree, which is just a bachelor's, takes 3 years? And so you really got to compare it to real life things, right? Because you are not just going to get this infinite money glitch of trading within 6 months of trading, right? It's just unrealistic. Things that are worthwhile take a long time, and things that are not worthwhile come very fast. But again, when things come fast, they leave even faster. So really trying to understand that this does take a long time, and you really got to ask yourself, am I willing to give it my absolute hardest work for the next 3 years? Because if you aren't, well, then this simply isn't for you. Now, the next one here is arguably the most important one that we're going to be talking about in this video, and that is focus on process, not profits. You see, a lot of people come into trading with the idea of wanting to make money. We all did. And if you say you didn't, well, then that's probably not true. Everybody started here because they wanted to make money. What separates profitable traders from unprofitable traders is the fact that they understand that making money is a byproduct of doing the right thing over and over again. In other words, making money is a byproduct of focusing on the process and not the profits. If there was one thing that I could tell you that really changed it for me throughout my career, it was when I decided to focus on habits and following my rules instead of money. You see, when I was super focused on making money, that was exactly when I didn't make any money. And as soon as I was able to shift my focus away from making money, that is exactly when I started to make money. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is all of your issues is tied to making money. If you are over trading, well, that's probably because you want to make back the money that you lost. You see, all of these issues come from the same problem, which is again, you focusing on money. So if you are able to rewire your brain and now start thinking in terms of, did I follow my rules and am I building good habits, instead of how much money can I make and how soon can I make it, that is exactly when you will start making profits. Now, a lot of people will talk about their green days or red days in terms of P&L, when in reality, you should look at your green days as, did I follow my rules and did I build good habits? Because your P&L has no saying, right? If you did follow your rules and you did build good habits, well, then that's a green day regardless of your P&L. So you could have 2 losing trades but did everything right, well, then that's a green day. But let's say you make a profit of $500 but you broke every rule that you had, well, then that's a negative day. So really trying to qualify a losing day in terms of, did I break my rules, and trying to qualify a winning day in terms of, did I follow my rules, is one of the best tips that I have for you. Find one system and stick with it like your life depends on it. I see way too many people that will jump from system to system because they simply trade a system for 2 weeks or a month and then qualify that system as a losing system. A lot of people nowadays don't know what an actual profitable system is made of, and it's made of consistency, it's made of refinement, it's made of adjustments. All of these things will only come once you've traded with a specific system for an extended period of time. The reason for this is because when you have a trading system, you want to be able to tell, when does my system work, when does it not work, when do I have to adjust my system, and all these different things is exactly what qualifies a profitable system. but you will never understand your systems in and outs unless you trade it for a really long time. Now, we have people and examples of people who are making a lot of money trading support and resistance, supply and demand, and ICT. So it's not really a technical problem. It is a consistency problem. So your system doesn't have to be fancy or hard to explain. In fact, the best systems are often the most simple ones, because when you have a profitable system, one of the most important parts is that you are able to repeat that system on a daily basis. Now, the harder and more complicated that system is, the harder it becomes to repeat. So our entire goal is to find a system and simplify it as much as possible to the point where it becomes repeatable. So I can go on the market and I can have a look at the market, and then I can already tell whether this is a day for my system or not. And then I can tell myself, okay, well, I've looked at this hundreds of times, and whenever the market looks a certain way, well, then my system doesn't perform the best, so I'm simply not going to trade today. Now, I only know this because I've traded with the same systems for years on end. Another problem I see a lot of beginner traders make is that they will follow so many different trading content creators or influencers, and that really ruins their trading. So what I recommend is that you find one or two influencers or content creators, or whatever you want to call them, who look at the market with a similar approach. So for example, if you are a person who wants to trade order flow, well, then you need to find two people that trade order flow. And if you want to trade ICT, well, then find two creators that trade ICT. Because what a lot of people will do is follow 6 or 7 different influencers who all have 6 or 7 different opinions, which isn't necessarily wrong. But what that does is you may listen to this guy for a week, and then the other guy that you follow will tell you to do something differently, and then you will do that. Then the next guy will tell you something else, and then you will believe that. And it's just disaster. So what you really want to do is focus on one or two people. It doesn't have to be me. And then really focus on whatever market approach it is that they have. Because please understand this, you are not going to be profitable by watching somebody else's videos. Again, we've just went over this. Technical analysis isn't what qualifies a profitable system. Consistency is. Now again, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. Everything is subjective. So what this guy's saying is not wrong. What the other guy's saying is not wrong. Now, it may be wrong for you. And so really understanding the importance of focusing on one or two people at max who have a similar market approach is really key. Treat trading like a business and not a hobby. If there's one thing that I have learned in business throughout the years, it is you simply can't treat something like a hobby and expect anything to grow. And so if you're treating it like a hobby, well, then you're going to get hobby results. But if you're treating it like a business, well, then you're going to get business results. Now, how do we treat it like a business? Well, that's things like data collection and journaling. And you've heard this before, yet you don't do it. There is so many people who don't journal on a consistent basis, and it is actually a lot harder than it sounds because it's a question of discipline. You see, a journal isn't necessarily hard to keep up, and it doesn't take very long, but it requires a lot of discipline to do every single time you place a trade. Now, I guarantee you that this is also what separates profitable traders from unprofitable traders. And if you take a look at any hedge fund or money management firm, well, then they really deep dive into data collection, because as traders, we simply can't control whether the market goes up or down. But what we can control is the data that we collect and learn from. And so we better double down on it. So again, you are competing against people who take this craft extremely serious, and you simply can't expect to get any extraordinary results if you are not taking it just as serious, if not more serious. Now, I'm going to leave you all with this one. Treat your evaluation accounts or your small trading accounts like your life depends on it. What I see a lot of people do wrong in this industry is they have an account, a very small trading account, and then they will sort of gamble that account, and they will do the exact same with prop firm evaluations. Now, the reason why they do this is because they say, oh, well, you know, it's a waste of time because I'm not making any money anyway, so I just want to get rid of it as fast as possible. But what you don't understand is the bad habits that this enforces. So while you don't really think about it, when you're doing these things like flipping $50 accounts or really trying to pass an evaluation account in one trade, this really enforces bad habits into your trading, and that will transfer over to your main accounts. It's simply inevitable. It is going to happen. So really trying to understand that no matter what you do, whether it's paper, evaluation accounts, small trading accounts, you need to treat these accounts like they were $1 million accounts, because that is the easiest way to make sure that you are always building good habits. And I guarantee you that if you don't treat these accounts like you're supposed to, well, then that will eventually be your downfall because it enforces bad habits. So that was really this video and the advice that I wish somebody gave me when I started trading. Now, somebody probably told me something similar when I did start trading, but I didn't listen. So I guarantee you that your trading will transform if you actually listen to the advice which I just gave you. And I'm not making this video for fun, and I'm not saying these things for fun. I genuinely wish that I would have listened when somebody told me the advice that I just gave you, because again, that would have just saved me so much time. It would have saved me so much money. And so I really hope that you took this to heart and you actually listened. Thank you a lot for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.